What's going on, y'all? I hope everyone's having a great day. If you guys haven't been following this channel, my name's Ken Fleming, and I've been teaching people how to build credit for the past 7 years. Right now, what I would like to do is just go over a presentation on credit, debt, and collections. You see, I've been making videos now for over a year on YouTube, and every once in a while I have to direct people to a certain video for a certain specific situation that they're in. And I wanted to just make one video so that everybody can just come to and kind of be on the same page. If you haven't got a chance to subscribe to this channel, please do so. And I hope this information helps you along your credit journey. Okay, so the topics that I want to cover in this presentation are going to be several fold. One is going to be going over credit. What is a credit report? What are credit bureaus? Hopefully, I'm able to teach you something that you don't know or you didn't know before the presentation, that you walk away with something that you didn't know. One thing about my channel is I don't really give how my day is going videos. I try and teach you. It's an educational channel. And hopefully every time you watch a video, you walk away with something you didn't know previously. I'm going to teach you how to build credit, and I'm going to teach you how to deal with your current collections. And at the end of this presentation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer you guys a free bonus, something that you guys will be able to use when disputing with the credit bureaus. Anyone who basically breathes in the United States of America is at some point is going to need to establish credit, whether it's to purchase a vehicle, credit cards, to get a home, to get a mortgage or lease an apartment. Insurance companies pull your credit report also, just to give to make sure that you are who you are, and those with higher FICO scores are going to have a lower insurance premium as well. If you want to rent a vehicle, you're going to have to have good credit. A lot of times, if you have good credit, your deposit on renting a vehicle is not going to be as high as somebody with a very low credit score. Okay, so jobs nowadays are actually pulling credit reports now. They're not actually pulling the scores, but they're pulling the credit reports. So, needless to say, you want to make sure that your credit report is 100% accurate first and foremost, and that it is as good as you can get it. These two gentlemen, Bill Fair and Earl Isaac, they are the two gentlemen that created the FICO score, the FICO algorithm that's known today. I know here it says it's been in business since 1958, but I believe it was 1956 that they actually got together and started working on this algorithm to help businesses extend credit to consumers. Most of us know about the big three credit bureaus: Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And one thing that a lot of people don't understand is that these are not government agencies. They're just like typical businesses, like your McDonald's or your IBM's or your Ford or General Motors. They're just basic um, business entities, just like everybody else. If you was to go start another business or start a business, you'll be just like one of these three. They're not of the government. They are just governed by the government. Okay, the Federal Trade Commission oversees them to make sure that they are following all the rules in the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And a lot of people don't understand that. Yeah, those are the big three. However, there are other credit data collectors that are used today. For example, if you have some type of bankruptcy or a tax lien on your credit report, there's a really good chance that you're at some point you had to deal with LexisNexis. If you haven't got a chance to Google LexisNexis, you will see that they're one of the largest academic data collectors in the United States. There's another company called SageStream. SageStream is another data collector that I've known people to be turned down credit For example, I know somebody who was turned down a Sprint phone because they had some negative information on SageStream. So I gather Sprint does a collection from SageStream, and also check systems. If you ever got denied a bank account, you at some point probably ran into check systems. And one thing that I want everybody to understand, that all these bureaus that I'm mentioning are all governed by the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So if you have a problem with check systems, for example, let's say you go apply for Bank of America checking account and they deny you, there's a really good chance that you can dispute that item. Just ask them what was the reasons for the dispute, and try and get your check systems report and dispute whatever it is on your check systems. You can dispute check systems just like you dispute uh let's say TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. You could do the same thing with Lexus, and you could do the same with SageStream. So just keep that in the front of your mind, that you can dispute anything that is under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Now, when you're looking at your credit report, one thing that you want to make sure first and foremost is that the credit report is yours. The first sign of identity theft, if you look at your credit report and you see several different names in your credit report, like if let's just say your first name is William Anthony Smith. If you see like, Anthony William Smith, or you have several different variations of your name, you might want to comb through your credit report just to make sure that everything in your credit report is 100% accurate and that it is yours, because that's the first sign that you should look for to see if you're a victim of identity theft. You want to make sure the address that is on your credit report is 100% accurate. You don't want, like, if you live in apartment 3, you don't want your credit report to say apartment 4. You want it to say apartment 3, and you don't want a whole bunch of addresses on your credit report. You want one address that's on your driver's license, one name that's on your driver's license. Your social security number is not going to necessarily be in your credit report, but your birth date, your job information, you don't want a whole bunch of recent or previous jobs in your credit report. You want to make sure that your pay history is 100% accurate. Okay, so all these things that are in your credit report, you want to make sure that they are 100% accurate, and that, the dates or the account numbers, whatever it is that's in your credit report, you want to make sure that it's 100% accurate. To get a free credit report, you can use the free credit monitoring services such as Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, but you can also get an extensive credit report from www.annualcreditreport.com. If you don't know, you are able to pull one credit report a year. So if you haven't pulled a credit report this year, you're able to pull a credit report, and it will list basically everything that's in your credit report. Now, there's a difference between a credit report and a credit score. Everything that's in your credit report, it's put into a data collection system, into an algorithm, and it basically spits out a credit score. So the credit report is the data, the names, the addresses, the lines of credit, the names of the furnishers that extended you credit. Your credit score is, there's several different models. You will see one credit score might use the Vantage score, and another system might use the FICO score, right? So if you use something like a Credit Karma or a Credit Sesame or even Privacy Guard, those scores are completely different than let's say a FICO score. If you was to walk into a mortgage broker or something like that and say, hey, I want to apply for a mortgage, there's a really good chance that your scores are going to differ. But the FICO algorithm, the scores range between 300 and 850. Now, I just want you to be a heads up, if you're on the 400s to 500s, if you walk into a car dealership, let's say, and you purchase a vehicle for $10,000, but you have a very low FICO score, let's say you have a 600 FICO score, For that same vehicle, a person with a 700 FICO score can purchase that vehicle a lot less. So needless to say, I'm not going to go over it all in detail this slide, but we all know that if you have poor credit, everything you pay for on credit is going to cost you more. Okay? So you just want to be aware that you want to keep the best credit score that you possibly can. There's the Fabulous Five, and I apologize if I'm going through these slides so fast, but I want you to get as much information as possible as you possibly can. Now, the amounts owed, that is one of the most important things when we're dealing with credit, right? The amounts owed is it's 30% of your credit score. And what that is your utilization rate. And if you don't understand utilization rates, I'm going to give you a quick example. Let's say you have a credit card that's about $1,000 and you use $500 of that credit card. You have a 50% utilization rate. You are utilizing 50% of that credit limit on that card. So I want you to be aware that if you are using over 30% of your credits, your utilization rate, if you're like above 30%, that is the same as a collection. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're staying right around the 10 to 15 percent range on your credit cards. If you feel like you need to be able to use more of your credit cards, what you want to do is ask your lender, your credit card issuer, for more credit, right? You don't want to just use more credit. If you feel like you need more credit, ask your lender, say, hey, look, I got a $1,000 credit card. Is there any way we can increase my limit to 1,500? Now, when you do that, just understand that there's a really good chance they're gonna do a hard pull on you. But it's better to get the hard pull than use more of your credit. Your payment history, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. Pay your bills on time. All right, I'm not going to go into that. We all know paying our bills is really important. Credit mix. 10% of our FICO scores is credit mix. What that is like having several different lines of credit, meaning let's say you have an installment loan, you have a couple of credit cards, and you have a mortgage. Having a well diverse credit profile is going to lead you to a higher credit score. All right, so length of credit, and I want you guys to understand that each one of these things, it's not just five. Each one of these things, it could be 100 other items that derive of that 15%, right? So for example, the length of credit history, it could be how long accounts have been open on your account, on your credit report, how long specific account types have been open, how long it's been since the last account type was used. So it's several different things, but in general, 15% of your FICO score is length of credit history. And of course, the new credits is 10%. So when you apply for credit and you get a hard inquiry and your credit score goes down, the reason why it goes down is because not only of the new credits, but the length of credit history, right? So those two items can actually have an effect on your credit score. The lower your credit score, the less effect it's going to have. The higher your credit score, the more effect opening new credit is going to have. So just be aware of that. As long as you guys are aware of that, I'm okay. And of course, bad credit is, anywhere between 350 to 640. And, yeah, it could prevent you from getting employment. It's going to get you turned down loans. And it can actually price you out of the market. Let's say you have a certain budget you could spend every month on a credit or for a vehicle, and you try to apply at a dealership. You may price yourself out of the market. You may not be able to afford that $10,000 vehicle because the payments are going to be so high. So that's one of the effects of bad credit. And for the signs of bad credit is if you have late payments on your credit report, collections, repossessions, tax liens, a bankruptcy, if you have judgments on your credit report, child support payments that are missed, or charge-offs. Those are all signs that you're walking down the street of bad credit. All right? And bad credit, negative items can stay on your credit report for 7 years, up to 7 years. Okay, so if you have late payments, collections, charge-offs, child supports, or judgments, those all those items are going to stay on your credit report for 7 years. If you have chapter 7 or chapter 11 or chapter 12 bankruptcy, that can stay on your credit report up to 10 years. Chapter 13 bankruptcy can stay on your credit report up to 7 years. And these good old inquiries, like every time you go out and you apply for credit, when you apply for credit, it generates an inquiry on your credit report, and inquiries stay on your credit report for 2 years. All right, up to 2 years. And I say all these years up to because unless you do something, they're going to stay on your credit report up to those dates and sometimes over. I've seen collections stay on credit report 10 years. So it just really depends on you. Now we all know what good credit is. Great credit scores, great credit reports. You pay your bills on time, and you're able to obtain loans at the lowest interest rates, right? So, like I was saying, that person that purchased that $10,000 vehicle, they're gonna that same vehicle is gonna cost you a lot less if you have great credit. And I just want to go over the differences between a person that has a 720 FICO score versus a person that has a 600 FICO score. A person with a 720 FICO score on average has about 9 open accounts. We're not talking about credit cards. We're talking about just open accounts in general. Okay, so they have about on average about 9 open accounts. A person with the 600 FICO score, they have on average about 4 open accounts. Okay, now if you look at this, the total debt for a 720 FICO score is about $125,000. 125,000 versus 42,000 for a person with 600 FICO score. And that's because there's a really good chance that's all mortgage debt. All right. 99% of the time a person with 720 pays their bills. Okay? So a person with 600 FICO score, there's a 25% chance they're not going to pay their bills on time. So that's how they are coming up with the FICO score on what is the likelihood of you paying me back in the next 24 months. A person with a 720 FICO score on average has 7 credit cards versus 600 for versus 4 for a person with 600 FICO score. The credit limits, as you can see, are a lot larger with a person for with a 720 FICO score versus a person with 600 FICO score. And average past due or average past due on their credit cards, right? The average balance on their credit card for a person with 720 FICO is $3 versus a person with 600 FICO scores $283. The important thing about this is these slides that I'm trying to show you is if you're trying to get into the 700s, you need to look at all the things that like the verses. You should be aiming to get all these things to put on your credit report. For example, a lot of times people ask me, well, Kenny, I got 3 credit cards. How many credit cards are too many? Should I apply for another credit card? And my answer to that is absolutely. The only thing that I don't want you to do is like going out applying for credit just for the sake of applying for credit. Like, don't go and get a mortgage just because you want a better FICO score. But if you have an opportunity to, let's say, get a better credit card, whether it's 0% interest or let's say it's a credit card that you're able to get money back, a higher percentage back for fuel. If you think you can qualify for that card, then get it. Don't hesitate to get it because you think it's going to ruin your FICO score. You want to be, cautious because you don't want to rack up a whole bunch of inquiries that will lower your credit score, but at the same time you do want to the more credit the better. All right? So, what do you do next? The very first thing that you want to do if you have bad credit, here's the very first step. you want to establish a budget. Okay, that's the very first step that you want to do, and that is the key difference that I see with people with good FICO scores and people with bad FICO scores is being able to set a budget and living off of their budget. The second thing you want to do is you want to start establishing credit. You want to build credit as much as you possibly can. Get a thick credit profile. Okay, so that means you want to go out and you want to start establishing credit. If you don't have credit and you have a whole bunch of collections, there's a really good chance that you can just go out and get some lines of credit, and that itself, even without deleting items off your credit report, is going to boost your credit score a lot more than you think it will. Okay. And the third thing you want to do is you want to make sure that your credit report is 100% accurate. All right. I don't care if there's a digit off, or if there's something wrong with your credit report, you want to make sure that you get all that corrected with the credit bureaus or your creditors. If it's something that, that's good credit, you don't want to actually dispute it with the credit bureaus because they may take that item off your credit report. So that's another thing that you want to be aware of. If, let's say, they're reporting a balance wrong, or a card is reporting closed and it's still open, you don't want to dispute it with the credit bureaus. If it's a good line of credit, what you want to do is actually go to your creditor and dispute it with your creditor. Okay. Now, these are some of the tools that I know of, that you can use for budgeting. Now, this first one, I want you guys to actually take a look at, because for me personally, this was a game changer. This Every Dollar app, it's Every Dollar Plus. It, to me, was the easiest app that I've ever used for budgeting. All right. Now you can get it. It's where it says both. You can get it on the Android, and you can also get it on your iPhone if you have an iPhone. But Every Dollar is my go-to app for budgeting. Of course, there's Mint. I'm sure we all heard of Mint because that's one of the largest um, budgeting apps out there. You need a budget, also known as YNAB. You can get, that's another good one. They've been making some changes with their apps, so I don't want to go too much into the YNAB, but that's another good app for budgeting. It's kind of like the Every Dollar app, but to me, the Every Dollar app is just a better app all around. And you could just go old school with it, pencil and paper. A lot of people that I know, they just put the money in the envelope, write it on the envelope, the money, and just go off of that. But one way or another, you need a budget to start establishing credit. That, before you start deleting items, before you start doing anything, this should be your first step. This should be your focus right now, is starting a budget. I know it's not sexy. I know it's not something that we all want to focus on, but I can't establish to you enough on how important it is for you to get a budget. And budget comes down to one simple thing, and that's you. Are you willing to take the time to sit down and do a budget day in, day out? All right. And like I said, if you do your Every Dollar budget, to me, that's the best budgeting app that you can use. Now, I want to go into how to establish credit. The very first step that you want to do is you want to get, all three credit bureaus, right? A tri-merge credit report. TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. You could go to annualcreditreport.com, or you can use a credit monitoring service. All right. Um, I believe Experian is one of the best credit monitoring services that you can use. It's actually a FICO 08. All right. So it's one of the most accurate credit monitoring services out there. It's like $24.99. There's a 3-in-1 credit report. Every time you pull or have a change on your Experian credit report, or you pull a hard pull on your credit report from Experian, you will get notifications. Okay, so it's a really good credit monitoring app. It's called Experian. It gives you the FICO 08. It gives you also the FICO too. Like if you want to go apply for a vehicle or something, there's a good chance it's going to be a FICO 2 model or something like that. But that's one of the most accurate models, uh, credit monitoring services that's out there in the public today. Now, the dispute process. Like I said, you want to look for any additional names. Like if you see a name on your credit report that is not yours, you want to make sure that you are taking a look at the credit report, making sure that everything on the credit report is 100% accurate. You want to make sure that your balances on your credit report are 100% accurate. Okay, so if you have like TransUnion is saying the balance is 700, Experian is saying 600, and Equifax is saying 400, you want to make sure that your balances are 100% accurate. If you have a delinquent date or the opening date is wrong, you can dispute that. All right. So even if the account is 100% yours, you're looking at your credit report and you're saying, you know what, this is my account. However, if it is not 100% your account, you can have that account removed from your credit report. If you have any collections over 7 years, 7 years old, you can dispute those items. Okay, so now we're on the dispute process. I just want to I want to be clear on something. There is something called a statute of limitations, right? And the reason why I bring up the statute of limitations is because if you're disputing an item, let's say it's $2,500 and it's within your statute of limitations, there's a good chance that you can have a judgment brought against you for disputing that item. So you want to be careful what you dispute. Don't be afraid of disputing. If it's wrong, get it off your credit report, right? But the disputing of recent items that are above $2,500, just be really careful of. And just know that if you if you are disputing items that are that high, there are things that you want to just be wary of and be aware of that you do not want to do. And you don't want to dispute online. You never want to dispute online ever. Okay? You just want to stay away from disputing online. You're going to hear people say, well, you could do this online, you could do that online. Just stay away from it in general. Okay? Because what it does when you dispute online, it extends that 30-day dispute time. All right? So you just stay away from disputing online in general. Always draft your dispute letters, whether you're typing them up or you're writing them out on hand, pen and pad. Just try to stay away from disputing online. Okay, and this is a very basic dispute letter that you can use. All right, and I want to be clear about something. In this letter, you see that there is no legal jargon, nothing about the Federal Trade Commission. There is no legal jargons. You just want to keep it simple. Um, you there they used to say, what was the saying, kiss, keep it stupid simple or something like that. Just keep it stupid simple. Don't try and quote, court cases and all that. Just keep your dispute letters as simple as you possibly can. All right? And I know there's people out there that have these, I don't want to go into it, but they have these letters, these 609 letters and all. Just stay away from that. If you're not an attorney, leave that to the attorneys. All right? If you have something on your credit report, just let them know what it is that you have a problem with. List your accounts, and you could use this dispute letter um for your records. Don't worry about all the legal jargon and what do I write. Just write your name, right? You put the date. As you see, you got your date, your name, your address, your city, your state and zip. And then the complaint department is who you writing it to, TransUnion, Experian, Equifax, or whatever it is. Um, just keep it really simple, right? You don't want to go into a whole bunch of legal jargon on your credit reports. And then what you want to do once you draft all your letters, right? You want to make a copy of your credit report one from TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, right? And you want to make 3 separate folders. You're going to have a TransUnion folder, you're going to have an Equifax folder, and you're going to have an Experian folder. All right? For each bureau, you're going to have a folder. And what you want to put in each folder is the original credit report. You want to highlight all the items that are being disputed, right? You want to be able to highlight all the items that are being disputed. You want to have a copy of each credit report in the file, right? So that you know exactly what's going on. And, handwrite each dispute letter if you possibly can. If you can't, I understand, then just go ahead and type it up. But you have your 3 separate files. You have your credit reports in there highlighted. You're going to send out 3 credit reports. Whether you handwrite them or not, you got your dispute letters in your folders, right? Because you're just keeping track of everything. You're just keeping track of everything that you're doing. You don't want to get ahead of yourself and go, oh, I forgot what letter I wrote. What did I write in my letter? If you write a letter and you send it, you don't know what letter you're on, right? Then where do you go? Now you're lost. Do you start over? Do you skip a step? What I want you to do is when you write a letter, make a copy of it, put it in your folder, okay? And you want to certify mail each copy to the credit bureaus. Really key. The reason why you certify mail each copy is because they are governed by the FTC. The credit bureaus are governed by the FTC. If you go read the Fair Credit Reporting Act, it basically gives them the laws that they have to abide by. Okay, and in the Fair Credit Reporting Act, it says that they have to do a reasonable verification of any disputes that you have. So if you send a dispute letter, not only does it tell them they have to investigate it, but it tells them how long they have to report back to you. See, that's key. A lot of people miss that point of it. When you send your letters, they have 30 days to respond to you. If they're not able to complete their investigation in 30 days, then they have to delete that item from your credit report. Okay, so when you send your dispute letters to the credit bureaus, you want to get a copy of a picture ID, whether that's the driver's license, a passport, something like that. A picture ID, a copy of it. You want to put that with your letters. You want to get a copy of your social security card. You want to get a copy of that, and you want to get a utility bill. Something that's just proving verification, and here's why. One of the stall tactics that credit bureaus use is, they'll send something basically saying they don't think that it's you or verify of individual. They're asking you to send more information to verify who you are. What you're trying to do is you're trying to make this process as seamless as you can. All right. So you send them all your information. You got your 3 credit bureaus that you sent letters to certified mail. And once you send everything certified mail, right, you want to mark 30 days on your calendar. Okay. 30 days on your calendar. You want to mark it. And you want to make sure 30 days, let me back up. You want to do it about 32, give them a couple days, 32 to 35 days. And if you haven't received anything in your 32nd or your 35th day, that's when you start sending more letters to the credit bureaus asking them to remove the items. That's enough time for them to do their investigation and get back to you. And like I said, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, it's basically your rights, right? You have the right to dispute any listing on your credit report. If it's in your credit report, you have a right to dispute it. Whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't matter, right? The whole point of it is you have the right to dispute it. And they have 30 days to conduct a reasonable investigation. If they don't verify the item within 30 days, then they have to delete it from your credit report. And that's per the Fair Credit Reporting Act, right? That you heard people say FCRA. That's what they're talking about, the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Okay, so now that you got your budget in place, right? You understand the dispute process. Here's where you have to really start focusing your attention on, because this is going to have the biggest effect on your scores. A lot of credit repair companies, they want you to dispute items because that generates income for them. But what's going to have the biggest effect on your credit score is how you go about building credit. All right. So if you have two credit reports, let's say you have a person that has a whole bunch of items on their credit report, and we wiped all those items off their credit report, their credit score is still going to be bad, right? And if you have another person, you don't wipe anything off their credit report and all you do is build on their credit report, their scores are going to go up higher than a person that all they do is delete items. Okay? Now, I know most people, the first thing when they think of credit repair, they think of sending dispute letters. But in all actuality, the number one reason why we need credit is to apply for loans, for credit, and get approved at the best interest rates, right? So all that other stuff, disputing items, budgeting, that's all great. But if you the things that are going to have the biggest effect on your credit score is how are you going about building credit? All right? Now, when you're talking about building credit, I want you to understand something. There's two different lines of credit. You have revolving lines of credit, and then you have installment loans. Okay? So these are two different types of credit types, right? Remember when I was talking about the credit mix? Here we go. We're talking about two different types of credit. How you tell the difference between a revolving line of credit or an installment loan? If it's a revolving line of credit, right? It's going to have a no fixed payment, meaning the payment is going to fluctuate from month to month depending on your balance. So if you have a credit card and let's say one month your balance is you owe 15, your payment due is $15, the next month it's $35, depending on how much you use, then that's a real true sign that it's a revolving line of credit. All right? The length of credit is ongoing, all right, with a revolving line of credit, meaning let's say you have a credit card and it's $100 and you pay off $100, you're still able to use that credit card. So that's how revolving lines of credit are established, right? Those are revolving lines of credit. An installment loan, the difference between an installment loan and a revolving line of credit, an installment loan is a fixed payment, okay? Like if you go out and you get a car, let's say your car payment is $295 a month. That's a fixed payment. Your payment is not going to go up and down, right? It's just fixed. And there's a credit term. When you're done paying off your car, that's it. You own the car, that's it. You don't have any more. You're not married to that company anymore. I like to say divorced. You're divorced from that company. There's no more relationship between you and that financial institution. All right? Um, Different types of credit cards. I'll give you an example of, of some of the credit cards, revolving lines of credit. Credit cards are revolving lines of credit. A home equity line of credit is actually a revolving line of credit, even though it is a mortgage, right? It has to do with your mortgage. But a home equity line of credit is a revolving line of credit. So let's say you go out and you get $100,000 line of credit on your house, right? And I'm just saying hypothetically, if you use $80,000 of that home equity line of credit, that is going to drop your credit scores drastically. All right. So remember that 30%, that 15% I was telling you about, you want to stay under 15%. If you have a home equity line of credit, just know that if you use a large portion of that home equity line of credit, that's going to drop your credit scores drastically. And installment loans, you know, some types of installment loans are mortgages and auto loans and student loans. Student loans are also considered installment loans. Your revolving lines of credit are going to have a more major effect on your credit score. All right. So just be aware of that. Those are the two different types of credit. Um, Ideal start to credit building. What you want is you want to have as much, the more mix, the better, right? So you want to have at least 3 credit cards, 3 lines of, revolving lines of credit, and at least one installment loan, whether it's a vehicle, a mortgage. You want to have one installment loan and 3 lines of credit just starting out to build credit, right? Remember, I was telling you about how important it is to focus on this. You want to get as much credit as you possibly can to increase your credit scores. All right. And if you're not able to, go out and apply for credit and get credit, there's ways that you can apply for credit with your money, right? It's called secure credit cards. And you make a small deposit, right, with a financial institution. I'm going to give you some examples of different secure credit cards in a little bit. But when you go out and you get secure credit cards, you make a small deposit anywhere from 300 500, and it's real easy to qualify, right? But one thing you want to make sure when you start dealing with secure credit cards is that the secure credit card reports to all 3 credit bureaus, right? If you're going to pay $300 to $500, just make sure that they report to all 3 credit bureaus. There are some instances where, you could, say, okay, I'm going to get, this credit card because it gives me cash back or whatever. But just try to make sure that they report to all 3 credit bureaus. Okay. And, these 3 credit cards, I'm going to give you why I like these 3 credit cards. These are my favorite credit cards to use. The Discover It secure credit card is the only secure credit card that I know that actually does cash back, right? I don't know of any other secure credit card that does cash back. So you put $500 down, you get 1%, I believe, on all groceries or personal items purchased, but you get 2% back if you're purchasing fuel, right? So I love the Discover It. I have the Discover It secure credit card. And I just love that secure credit card. The Open Sky secure credit card, if you try to apply for credit, let's say, and you get discouraged because you know uh they denied you, even though it's a secure credit card. Some secure credit cards, they will actually deny you credit. They won't approve you. But the Open Sky secure credit card, it's pretty much a guarantee. If you got, turned down by any other secure company, try to apply for the Open Sky secure credit card because they're one of the easiest ones to get. They report to all 3 credit bureaus. And of course, the Capital One secure credit card is a really easy secure credit card to get. The reason why I like this one, because it's real easy to graduate, right? It's real easy to graduate from secure to unsecured. So if you get a chance, start out with these three. If you want some others, you got the Merrick Bank secure credit card, the First Progress secure credit card, and the State Department Federal Credit Union secure credit card. Now you might have to spend like $35 to be a part of the State Department Federal Credit Union, but the reality of it is the State Department Federal Credit Union, if you're about interest, that credit card has the lowest interest rate of all the secure credit cards that I know of. I don't know of a secure credit card that has a lower interest rate than the State Department Federal Credit Union. So it's 24 hours. It's pretty good service. I like that State Department Federal Credit Union. If you're not a part of a credit union, you're looking to join a credit union, you might want to take a look at the State Department Federal Credit Union. Now, those are all revolving lines of credit that you can get. All right. Now, I gave you 6 different secure, or not secure, well, yes, all secure revolving lines of credit. Let's talk about your installment loan. Okay. Now, you may not be able to qualify for an installment loan, but you can actually do the same thing with a credit union with an installment loan. And what you do is you go into your bank and you open a bank account. You deposit money into your bank account, and then you go to the teller and you tell them that you want to take a loan against that bank account. What they're going to do is they're going to hold that money in your bank account, right? They're going to hold that money in your bank account. They're going to freeze it. Basically, you're not going to be able to pull that money out. They're going to use it as collateral. And then they're going to give you that same amount that you deposited as a loan, right? So you receive a loan the same day. So you go into your bank, you give them $1,000. and you say, I want to use that as collateral as a loan, they give you $1,000 as a loan. And you pay on that loan over a year. It's usually a year's time. And what that does is it allows you to build credit, right? It not only forces you to save money, but it allows you to build credit. Now, if you don't have $1,000 to spend on this situation, because usually when you're trying to do a secured installment loan, you can go to a company called SelfLender, right? I'm going to provide a link in the description. I am an affiliate. It is going to be an affiliate link. I believe I get like $70 now if you click the link and you join SelfLender. But SelfLender will actually give you a loan, and you just pay on that loan every month, right? And at the end of the term, right? Because they don't actually give you the money, you just start making the payments. And at the end of the loan, after a year, you're able to get that money that you paid. So it's a secured loan. It graduates just like installment loans graduate. And at the end, your collateral is returned to you. Okay? So now I want to talk to you about dealing with collections. There's something called a cease and desist letter, right? And I want to be clear about this. When you talk to a lot of credit repair companies, the first thing they want to do is send a cease and desist letters to stop, all the harassment, right? And just know that you know, they're governed. There's something called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act that they have certain rules that they can do. They can't just, keep calling you every day, all day. They can call you once per day. All right. Um, they can only contact you in your time zone between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. your time. That means that if they're calling you 7:30 in the morning or 10 o'clock, that's an infraction against them, right? They can't threaten, harass, oppress, or abuse you. So if you have a collector that's just going around, threatening you, you might want to bring it to their attention that they're actually breaking the law, because that is a law. They cannot harass you. They can't tell you that they can, take your house or vehicle unless it's collateral. If it's collateral, let's say it's you're that's their vehicle, then in that situation it's different. Um they can't they can't contact you at work, right? So if you have a debt collector contacting you at work, you might want to bring it to their attention. Hey man, do you mind, due to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, you're not supposed to be able to contact me at work. I'm at work. This is my work line. Don't contact me on this number right now, okay? During these hours because I'm at work. Um, there were several different things. They can't lie to you when collecting debts, implying that you have committed a crime, right? Just because you owe somebody money, it doesn't mean it's a crime. Um, they have to identify themselves. I believe it's called the Miranda laws. They have to identify themselves as a debt collector, right? And if you ask them to stop contacting you via phone and that you ask them to do it in writing, they have to do that. So if they violate any of these fractions, and there's several others, you can sue them. And each fraction against the company, the debt collector, is $1,000. A lot of people don't know that. It's not just $1,000 for the whole time. So let's say they've been calling you all during the night and more than once. That's two separate fractions right there. Usually if they're going to break one fraction, they're going to break several. So just, let them know, hey, look, you don't have to threaten them, but just let them know, hey, look, could you not contact me during work, right? But one thing I want to, be clear about, if you're going to use the method of telling them to contact you in writing, right? Just make sure that you keep the lines of open communication, right? Because you don't want to get a judgment for missing a letter, or all of a sudden they're thinking that you're not replying to the mail, so they're just going to sue you, and now you got a judgment on your credit report. And you know the debt validation or cease and desist letter, those are two two letters that are very powerful. A cease and desist letter, but just don't, just don't use it wrong. Don't abuse the system. All right? And that's the thing that I like to, express on this situation. Don't abuse it. If you think you owe the debt and you need to keep an open line of communication, just keep that open line of communication. Right? Don't just tell them no, don't contact me. You got to contact me in writing and basically threaten them and do this or that. Just keep an open line of communication, and if it's your debt and you're paying the debt, um just just make sure that you don't want to go have a judgment on your credit report because you're handling the situation wrong, right? um you have the it's the federal law to get your credit reports, improve your credit reports. You have the right to raise your credit scores. Just basically understand that there are organizations called the Fair Trade Commission that oversee the credit bureaus to make sure that the credit bureaus are and creditors, right? So creditors have to follow the laws also. All right. So one thing about that I also want to bring up, if it's the original creditor, they don't have to go by the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. They're governed by different rules. They can't harass you and lie to you and do all these different things, but they're not as if you're dealing with a collection agency, usually they have a bigger chance of breaking the laws than, let's say, original creditor. If your debt is still with the original creditor, they still have certain criteria that they have to abide by. But just make sure that you actually pick up the Fair Credit Reporting Act or the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act and just go through it. Just go through and make sure that you understand the laws that are in your favor. All right. Now we got to the end, and here's your free bonus. I want to thank you first and foremost. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you my book for free. All right. This is a book that I spent countless hours writing. It's not a hard copy. It's a digital copy. Okay. Now what I want you to do in order to get this book. All right. There's two things you have to do. First, you have to subscribe. Right. Subscribe to this channel, and you have to ring the notification bell. Whenever I drop a video, what that notification bell is going to do, it's going to uh it's going to notify you, let you know that I dropped another video. All right. So just go ahead and subscribe to this channel, ring the notification bell. Now in the description, I'm gonna give you guys a link to a landing page, and all you have to do is put in your name and your email address. And what I'm gonna do, right? What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna send you guys something more than just my book. What I'm going to send you is a general 6-letter campaign. All right? I'm going to send you a 6-letter campaign that's going to teach you how to send dispute letters. Well, actually this video is going to teach you, but a lot of times people have a problem with writing dispute letters, right? So instead of, you having a problem writing the letters, I've already written them for you. All you have to do is fill in the blanks, right? It's just a template. So you're going to have to fill in some information, and that way you don't have to cover the headache. All you have to do is focus on building credit, and you don't have to concentrate on, um, you know, writing dispute letters, right? I took all that out of it for you, right? And my book, Credit Anatomy, I have dispute letters in there. I have, like if you have a situation where you need to negotiate debt, I have a way to negotiate debt in this book. If you got, you want to be able to have, uh, your rent reported. There's a way that you can have your rent reported. I have that all in this book. Like I took several hours, several days. It was several days that it took for me to write this book, but I just got a bug and I said I wanted to write something to help people build credit. I don't charge anybody for this stuff. What I do is I just try to present it to you guys, give it to you so that it would help you guys on your journey. And I hope this stuff really helps you. right? That's my main key, my main goal is to get you guys in a situation where you guys can improve your lifestyle. I'm not going to keep you. What I want you guys to do, subscribe to this channel, ring the notification bell, go to the link, put your name, email address in there. You're going to get my book. Not only are you going to get my book, you're going to get a six letter dispute campaign that you can use. So that's basically 6 months worth of disputes. Do you know how much it costs to get into a credit repair company and have them dispute for six months? You're looking anywhere from $700 to $800. Okay, $700 to $800 I'm saving you today just by you spending the time with me, taking out your day to listen to this video. Okay, I hope this video finds you guys well. I hope this information helps you. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep dropping videos, so you guys stay tuned. If there's anything else that I can do to help you guys, please join the email list and reply to the email. If there's any questions that you guys have, that's how you get in contact with me. All right, you guys have a blessed day, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. God bless.